Welcome to your Cochrane right now. This is a weekly podcast all about the best town in the world, Cochrane, Alberta. My name's Eric Ruddle, joined by Lauren Meister. And Lauren, we mourn the loss of our beloved e-scooter program and e-bikes. Never rode those, though. They look too scary.
I didn't get to the e-bikes either. I know. Well, because you and I have ridden on e-bikes before.
Exactly.
And, of course, the ones that we rode on, those ones had a lot of oomph behind them. So, didn't get to those. But I was in shock when I found this out the other day.
Yeah, so sadly, it looks like they weren't making enough money and they actually went out of business, which would make sense for that to happen during the winter when I was thinking of it, because obviously no one's riding scooters here in Alberta. Even they had several different markets in Alberta. So that's like 6 months of the year you have to keep your company afloat just off of summer sales and rentals and stuff. And sadly, it doesn't look like Roll made it.
Yeah, it is unfortunate because just given the numbers that we were given and just seeing the scooters, you'd see them all the time. Like they were popular, and we have the perfect setup for it here in Cochrane. I mean, we got the perfect pathways, and we know that our community is kind of spread out all over the place. So we know that they make sense here. So it's a shame. It's a bummer.
Exactly. And just as they started bringing them to like Sunset and the outlying communities, really, I was seeing a lot of kids use them, right? And that's an awesome way to get around town.
Yeah.
I'd imagine, Rolls on somebody else is coming, right? Like Calgary has a ton of services.
Yeah.
You got to imagine one of them's like, let's just go put a couple of scooters in Cochrane as well.
I hope so. I really hope that we can get a different company here in town.
Yeah. I'm thinking like, why don't we go outside the bubble? Like go-karts, rentable go-karts.
I feel like there's no room
Unicycles?
for any issues. Or Segways.
Segways?
That'd be cool. Have you ever tried a Segway?
Yeah, they're awesome.
They're so much fun. They're
electric skateboards. I'm sure there's just like Heelys.
Have you ever tried those?
I have a pair.
I
bought a pair for me and my wife. I tried them on 2 days ago. Almost died in my kitchen.
I was going to say, like those
they're really hard.
Those are tricky. Both my kids have had Heelys before, and they never really got super.
They grew out of them.
Yes, they did, because they only ever used them a couple of times.
They're tough.
And the entire time, I pretty much broke my back because I was hanging on to them and stopping them from falling over.
Yeah, the one time I tried them, I got them down in the States, so I was like, oh, Stacy, hold my hands while I try. And I popped both my feet up, and I just went, boom. I don't know, because you see kids cruising around. On them, so maybe that's the thing. They just have like several different sizes, and you like boop boop, and then you put on your Heelys and.
Well, and kids have no fear, right? Like I feel like when we fall, we know it's going to hurt, and we know that there's potential that we're going to be hurting for a long time. Kids, they're limber, they're good.
And talking about kids, it looks like one of the oldest playgrounds in Cochrane might be getting a nice revamp. The Glenbow School.
Yeah.
I don't know. So my kids don't go to Glenbow School, but they play ball over there during the summer. And usually the other kid is playing on that playground. It's getting a little tired.
Totally. It reminds me, Glenbow School as a whole, it reminds me of my elementary school, and then same with the playground. So for sure. I mean, it's definitely a little elderly in the playground department, not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's definitely, it needs a facelift. But to get a new playground, it is so expensive.
Oh, like you'd think it wouldn't be, right? Oh, poles and like some rocks, you're good to go. But no, well over $100,000.
It's $500,000.
Is it $500,000?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
They need to raise $500,000.
Jeez.
Yes.
For a cool playground.
For a playground, because they want to make it inclusive and accessible. Which obviously really important.
And I remember when Ranchview was being built, they had to fundraise for their playground as well. That's just, it's crazy to think those things aren't just added in, right?
No.
Like, here, kids, go outside and play. We can't afford a playground, enjoy a field.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if they wait until the bitter end to keep their current playground and then tear it down, build the new one in a week, and then, or do you?
Well, that's kind of how they usually do it. Like they do the fundraising efforts and whatnot. And I know that they're going to apply for some grants and whatnot. Yeah. They've already kind of got some, Home Treasures has already donated some money and whatnot. But usually that's kind of how it gets built, is they get some volunteers from the community, and it's like a weekend process where they just put it all up.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens from it. And I'd imagine we're going to see a lot of schools maybe fundraising, trying to get updates, because It was announced in the budget. Cochrane is not getting a new school this year. 2023, sorry guys, it's not in the budget. But there is one option. So the old Holy Spirit School on Powell Street is how they've kind of been describing it. But it's on the east end of Cochrane. Holy Spirit, obviously, they left. They're up in Fireside now.
Yeah, they have a brand new school.
And River, the Rockview schools bought it back for like $1, right? So they're like,
deal.
what should we turn it into now? And you'd think that would be just so easy, right? Like, here at Cochrane, there's a new school. There's 5 options on the table. From last week, there was a big meeting, public assembly that you went to.
Yeah.
How many people showed up to that thing?
There was like 400 people there. So they had held a different public consultation meeting a few weeks prior. And there was like 200 people at that one.
And that one was just a slideshow. And like, write down your suggestions.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and they had presented 3 different options at that time. And no one really knew what the 3 options were going to be. So once people kind of found out what the 3 options were going to be, that kind of sparked a few opinions in the community. So that's why there were 400 people at this last meeting. So I was there actually on double duty. I was there as a parent, and I was there covering it for Cochrane now because, my kid's school would be one of the schools that would be affected. So one of the options would be that potentially one of my children, my daughter, my younger child, would potentially move to the Powell Street School, and then my son would stay at his current school, which would mean, and I know I'm not the only parent in this position, but that would mean my kids would be separated. So of course, as a parent, you're like, well, how's this going to work for childcare in the morning? How is this going to work for busing times? Are the schools going to be at the same time? So I was actually talking to the superintendent, Greg Luterbach, asking him all of these questions. And he's like, I'm getting all these questions all the time. You're not the first person to ask these, but we don't know the answers yet. They just don't know. So we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know which option's going to be in place. We're not going to know till the end of April.
Which is a long time, especially for people to kind of gather the truth. So I've seen some petitions being put together. And honestly, there's going to be, of the 5 options, there's not the golden option right now, where it's like everyone just wants that one because everyone wins with that one. No, there's some positives and negatives to each single one. And it will be incredible to see not only who ends up moving into that building, but that building's old. Right.
Yes.
I went to school there. They haven't done much renovation, so you'd imagine they have to start throwing money in that as well.
So they're renovating. They've got about $2.8 million, and they're completely renovating. They're getting, like a whole bunch of new paintwork. They're renovating a bathroom, all sorts of different new things and whatnot. Because a lot of people are concerned about like health hazards and whatnot.
They were like, some of the paint has lead in it. Don't worry about that.
Exactly.
And I was thinking, I went to that school.
Yeah.
Maybe that explains a lot of issues.
Right? Exactly.
Shouldn't have eaten so much of it.
Yeah, right? But it was actually really good being at that meeting because just as a parent, because then it really confirmed that obviously Rocky View schools, they're looking into all these concerns. They're going to make sure that the school is completely safe. They're testing for radon. Like they're doing all of the things. They're going to make it a very safe place for students. But it's true. It's not going to be, it doesn't matter what option is going to be on the table. Yeah. It's not going to be a perfect solution for all parents. Yeah.
Somebody in Cochrane might end up mad. And that's a totally new thing for a town sometimes, right? Like, it's usually hunky-dory here. So.
All of the time. So I guess we'll just kind of gauge it on how many different comments there's going to be on the Rants and Raves page.
Exactly. We're not getting a new school this year, but we are getting a new grocery store.
Yeah.
So the big news came down. Co-op is coming to Cochrane. That was the big rumor. Of course, other people were throwing around like Superstore and this and that. Most of us didn't know, but we kind of like, that's the most logical answer. It wasn't going to be Costco.
Yeah. Right? No, I mean, I feel like everyone kind of suspected it was going to be co-op. But then now that we saw the artist rendering, like the drawing of what it's going to be, like it's not just like your small town, tiny little co-op. Like this is like a monster co-op, like a co-op, like the grocery store. It's got like the liquor store. It's got a cannabis shop. It's got a gas station, pharmacy. Yeah. Like everything co-op you could imagine.
And like the only co-op that I compare it to is the one in like 12 Mile Coulee.
Okay.
And I think it's going to be almost like twice that size.
Oh.
It's going to be massive.
Huge.
And now that we know what it's going to be, of course, it's not going to be finished being built until 2025.
But they're going to start building it this year.
Soon, right?
Yeah.
What do we push for next? Because here in Cochrane, right, we always are pushing for one less reason to have to drive to the city, right? And there's some stuff that you still have to go out there for. If you could choose the next thing, especially in one of the 2 new neighborhoods, what would it be? We're getting a new grocery store. We're getting a new hotel as well, which is very needed here.
Yes.
What would it be to make your life as a Cochraneite better, that you would drop out of the race to go to the city?
I think for me, because I like fashion, I like clothing, I would say just more shops, like just more shopping experiences. We have so many awesome places to shop here in Cochrane.
But why not more?
I want more. I mean, we have such a great population. Also, like places to buy like home decor.
Yeah.
We don't, like we have the Winners, but we didn't get the Home Sense.
Oh, no.
We didn't. Seriously? It should have been that whole Canadian Tire, the old Canadian Tire building. It should have been the Home Sense and the Winners. 100 million %. It should have been the whole building, in my opinion. But I feel like that's what we need. What do you think?
Honestly, I would like a mall. And I know malls probably in 2023 aren't being built. There's nowhere for, especially like moms who have their baby and they just want to do loser laps somewhere. Just walk around.
Loser laps.
Loser laps. So if you ever go to like Market Mall during the week, it is mostly parents there walking around with their babies because
in the
it's
winter.
warm,
Yeah.
right? It's warm and you can look at stores and grab some ice cream and stuff. I think we should get a mall here in Cochrane. You think that'd do well?
I don't know if we have the population for a mall. Don't get me wrong.
Balzac has a mall.
That's true. That's a fair
they
point.
Got what, 2,000 people?
It's not really in Balzac though. It's like on the side of the highway.
We're kind of on the side of the highway. I don't know. I just feel like somewhere like that is big, that parents and young kids can go and just walk around and have a good afternoon.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I like a good mall.
Well, you love loser laps.
I do. I don't really call them that. I mean, I call it window shopping. Because I love window shopping on all the stores here in Cochrane.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's difficult when it's minus 40
you
out.
got to go outside to go to the next store.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe just like an outlet mall. Like it could still be an outdoor concept.
Yes,
like
but indoors.
Indoors.
Like all those outlet malls like in the States.
Yeah. So there you go. There you go. $1 million ideas right there. And we got to find out that 29 Cochrane dancers are going down to Mexico with Snap Dance. It's so cool. They're just going to like be the nightly entertainment for a resort. Like that is just so incredible. And then you're like, well, I got to travel with my dance crew back in Saskatchewan. Where did you get to go?
I didn't go to any place as exciting as Mexico. I went to like dance competitions in like other small Saskatchewan towns.
Good.
Yeah. So I'm not going to lie. Like I am very jealous of people who dance now. Like my daughter dances. She's not going to this Mexico trip. She's still too little. But I am thinking to myself, I'm like, you better stick to dance and really, really try hard because
every 2 years they go
this
somewhere.
Is pretty sweet. Like it's their families going along with them too,
yeah,
right?
They're not just taking 29 6 to 17-year-olds on their own. No,
like this is a family vacation, right?
It's a family vacation with a cool thing for your kids to do at night.
Yeah, and like I'm sure you've been in an all-inclusive before.
Yes.
So like watching those nightly entertainment, like it's fun.
Gosh.
Everybody's on vacation. They're having a great time. So having those dancers get to provide that entertainment for people from all over the world, that's an experience they're never going to forget.
And especially like as parents, right? Snap Dance is probably watching them for 2 hours there every night. You'd be like, cool. Have fun, kids. I've seen your show a couple of times. I'm going to the beach, right? But this is really cool, and they do it every 2 years. So it'll be awesome to see the photos after they get back and all that stuff. And,
very cool.
Yeah, I asked my sons had interest in dance before. I'm like, hey, you want to get into dance? Because it doesn't look like baseball is going to be taking us down to Mexico anytime soon.
It's true.
Right?
Dance sounds cool.
There's a ton of stuff happening in Cochrane right now. That's a quick rundown for you. You can grab this podcast on all your favorite podcast services. And until next week, talk to you again soon.
Yeah.